Actually, we are so proud to have somebody who represents this district, who understands us, who speaks our language, one of the many languages that's spoken right here in the International District. A big labor welcome for Senator Tim Keller.
Talk about that football game a little bit at the end, so keep you in suspense there. But I really appreciate the introduction and the opportunity to be here before you. John Henry couldn't have said it better in terms of this neighborhood that you're in, and it's something I'm proud to represent. And he did forget one other fun fact about this District 17. It also has the highest percentage of union members of any district in the state. Now, I need to throw a quick caveat. That excludes Santa Fe. But other than that, it's the hottest. So I have a strong union presence, and always have in this district. And it gives me tremendous joy to work with labor, and to speak with labor, and to speak for labor up in the legislature to represent my district and everything that working families stand for. Now, a couple of things. I was born and raised here in New Mexico, and I actually had some union roots. My father worked for many of you in this audience, actually, for most of my life when he was working. He worked for the building trades and many of the other unions. And so it's an honor for me to continue a family tradition of working with labor. Now, I want to share with you today a couple of things about the reality in New Mexico. And those of you who know me know that I'm going to tell it like it is. And I'm going to remind everyone here what's going on up in Santa Fe. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. The reality is, a lot of the attacks, a lot of the things you see in the paper and in the media, they are all anti-union initiatives. Do not be fooled with things like even the driver's license bill that John Henry mentioned. These are all part of an anti-union agenda that is being repackaged and trying to be used as a wedge issue for the conservatives to take over our state legislature. Now, let me give you a few examples of that. And not just to take over the state legislature, to reduce the number of union members in our state. That is their goal, because they know that that is the only way that they can push what they need to do in New Mexico. Let me give you a couple of examples of that. We talked a little about the film credit. When you go up here, when you see the guys at IATSE, when you see John Henry up here, everything that happened with that film credit was because of one reason. It is because the largest employer number in the film industry is IATSE and IATSE's union, and they vote Democrat. That is why they went after the film credit. It had nothing to do with anything else. And let me tell you, it doesn't stop, and it amazes me how this agenda rears its head. And it's through, a lot of people call it a shadow government. It's not even necessarily the governor or the mayor. It's the operatives and the lawyers who are really running our state. And they are not elected officials, and they are making decisions, and they are driving an agenda that should be done by elected officials. Another example is the attack on the firefighters. I don't know how many times the city pushes on the news, you name the issue that's happening with the firefighters union or with the firefighters union president. That is, again, nothing but an anti-union agenda. That's what it is. Another example is our teachers and education reform. Once again, that's right. We hear about, whether it's third grade social promotion, teacher evaluations, and people say this is about helping our children. It is not. It is about reducing the number of union members in our state. That's what it's about. Now I'm going to give you one more example here. And this one's close to my heart. It's a much smaller issue, but we see it for anyone who works in state government, especially the AFSCME folks here. Whether it's budget reductions, or it's privatization, or CWA, every time you hear fiscal responsibility, fiscal conservativeness, the reason that is being pushed is to reduce the number of union members in our state. That's why it's being pushed. Our budget has been saved each year, and yet we still hear that rhetoric, and it's because they don't want you here and they don't want you voting. That's what it's about. Now, what's going to happen now we have to really be careful about. our state and what we prize in terms of the victories that we've had in New Mexico that a lot of the folks up here have fought for, whether it's collective bargaining, prevailing wage, all of these are going to be under attack. And they're under attack by the third-party groups, Reform New Mexico, Susanna PAC. These initiatives are the ones who are financing all this anti-union propaganda. And they're doing it under the guise of public policy. And it is not public policy, it is nothing but anti-union propaganda. So we need your help. We desperately need your help. And to give you an idea of what we've got to do, we all know that if all the Democrats turn out, the Democrats win. And what we saw in the primary elections was a lot of negative campaigning to reduce turnout. And it worked. Turnout was extremely low, and it set the stage for a low turnout general election because everyone's going to be fed up with the negative ads and everyone's going to hate politicians. This is the game plan. So we need you out there getting people to vote. If you get people to vote, labor wins. Now, let's just close with maybe one other thought on this. And I think this one is close to everyone's heart, but we see in our state and all around the country a worry about our economy and a worry about jobs. We all know, as we heard before, union jobs are the best jobs you can get. Union training is some of the best training you can get. Union jobs are the foundation of the middle class. They're the foundation of America. And when we do things in Albuquerque, like celebrate a call center coming to our state and call it job creation, and call it economic development, you know, this is a joke. Now, I worked at a call center. It's a great job at the beginning of your career, but they're not labor jobs, and they don't have any of the wage protections. Everyone's under a contract as a contractor, so they don't get health care benefits. So do not be fooled by this faux economic development message with respect to call centers. We need jobs, and it's not that they're call centers, it's the fact that it's contracted labor that doesn't have all the protections that a working class job should have. So keep in mind at the city, at the county level, and at the state level, remember what a good job is. And when people tell you about the new jobs that are coming, make sure they come with full benefits and full labor rights. Well, we need to hear from some special people, and I want to get to that. But what we need to do is talk a little bit about football. So, what I would like to do here is, we need to focus our attention for a little bit. So I used to play football out at St. Pius High School, and it was a wonderful thing, and we're going to see what I got left this afternoon. But I need to get warm, need to do some stretches. So I'm going to ask you to help me if you'd all stand up. It's the middle of the morning, the coffee's worn off. Let's stand up, let's loosen up a little bit here. There we go. I see some folks stretch out the old arm. And here's what we're going to practice. We're going to practice working the old throwing arm, and we're going to let everyone know what we're going to do in November. So I'm going to tell you the goal, and you're going to refrain with the most important refrain we're going to hear all summer and all fall, which is all in. Okay? So let's start it off here. To keep the House in New Mexico blue, what are we going to do? We're all in! All in! What are we going to do to keep the Senate strong? We're all in! What are we going to do to fight for union jobs? We're all in! All right, now come on, let me say it once more. Give it, scream it out. Now, this is a labor hall, is it not? Yeah. What are we going to do in November to win? We're all in! Thank you very much.